Howdy y'all and welcome. This is Mike from It's Fine Gaming and we're back in Homebrew today and we're going to be looking at tandem rotor helicopters. Now this is one that I've already built and I'm probably going to try to speed through the a teardown and a rebuild or something somehow. This is my final design for a tandem rotor helicopter build. Let's just go ahead and talk about the center of gravity. As I built this, I decided I wanted the center of gravity to remain right here at the joint between these two cylinders. So I have measured and made sure this shaft or rotor is the same distance from the center of gravity as this rotor. In this way, I can ensure that when they're at the same RPM, they're applying the same force, and it should go straight up or at a hover. That way it would prevent it from pitching forwards or backwards in one direction. I also raised one rotor higher than the other. This was an aesthetic decision purely. When these rotors collide in game, nothing happens. They actually aren't colliding, they just intersect. In reality, that would make a difference and that would matter. But I think I just wanted to make it look maybe a little bit more realistic like some of the actual tandem rotor helicopters today. In the front, I put two seats, a gyroscope and a battery for it. Rear, I have a fuel tank, and I decided to add these little helicopter wings on the side, not for stability or anything, but just to hold my little feet here to land on. I think that's pretty much. I decided to skin it with the armor. I think it's the iron or steel, whatever. It's not the aluminum. I was trying to gain weight. At higher RPMs, these rotors apply so much lift that it's very twitchy. The slightest twitch in this, like one side to the other, or if this RPM drops 100, it can really affect things very quickly. So I tried to add some more weight, I guess in a way of trying to be a gyroscope, having more mass, which would require more force to move it, meaning little twitchy motions won't be as effective. Okay, now let's talk about controls. Turn this on right here and lock my screen. Now I mapped this to my controller again, and quite frankly, I think it would be difficult to manage this on a keyboard because I have these rotors moving separately. My left joystick controls the front, and my right joystick controls the rear. However, my left joystick controls both of their pitch, so I don't have to worry about that. On my right joystick, the forwards and back has nothing. So I can move them in opposite directions as far as the roll. I can move them together to actually cause a roll, but in an ideal situation, or in theory, moving them in opposite directions will cause the yaw. So I could hold the rear where it is, and I could pivot around the rear, or I could hold the front where it is and pivot around the front by altering my rear, or I could I guess spin on my center as far as yaw is concerned. So trying to do this on a keyboard I think would be a little bit more difficult. Keyboard and mouse combination, I still have trouble with the joysticks, I suppose. I also mapped, maybe I should turn on the engines here, make it a little bit more visible. I mapped my bumpers to boost my front and to, I guess, boost the RPMs of one motor and drop the RPMs to another rotor. For this one, I'm boosting my rear and the opposite, I can boost my front. And these are quick adjustments I can make that I could just do with pitching. But sometimes I find myself in a real awkward position, and I need to be using my roll more than I need my pitch. And so I'll just use my bumpers to help boost up my front or my rear to try to get me out of trouble. Now, I almost forgot this. As I discussed in my prior video, I have one rotor going in a direction and the second one I have going in the opposite direction. And this is to help cancel those forces that would cause it to naturally yaw on its own. So you'll see in my flights, it's very, very, I guess, unaffected by any natural yaw. It's very neutral. And that's all due in part, this rotor is going counterclockwise and the rear one is going clockwise. I guess that's the controls. So let's go ahead and see it in action. All right, let's get in here. Now I have locked my view both in the cockpit and on the outside because the right joystick is what I use to control the rear rotor. Okay, so here we are. Let's go ahead and get in the cockpit. Let's see what RPMs we need to take off. We're at 1,000, about 1,200. 1,200 RPM to take off, and these max out at 5,000. So we're well within our weight that we need to take off. Okay, let me get back out of here. Let's see, pitching forward. Okay, we got that. Pitching backwards. All right, now to test my roll, I need to have both rotors go the same direction, like so. And we'll try to slow down a little bit. All right, now let's try some actual, I guess a yawn maybe. Now without moving my rear, I'm just gonna try to move my front and see if I can pivot around my rear. And I can, just not, it's not great. Now let's try the rear by itself. Sluggish, but it's there. All right, let's do both in opposite directions to try to pivot around our center. Okay, that's better. That's better. One thing I've noticed is I pretty much have gotten comfortable just using one stick or one rotor, my front. This has been my attempt at building a tandem rotor helicopter. I hope this may have inspired you or answered some of your questions. And I look forward to seeing some really good, interesting designs. Thanks for watching. This has been Mike from It's Fine Gaming, and hope to see you again.